What's up, everyone? Theo here with a quick beginner's guide to healing Vortex Pinnacle as a Resto Druid. This is not designed to be the most in-depth overview for those pushing high keys, but rather an attempt to give those new to Resto Druid some tips and tricks on how to handle the dungeon as a beginner or simply as someone looking to survive their weekly keys. Be sure to like the video if you find it helpful and subscribe if you want some more casual healing content, and let's get started. The first couple trash packs in Vortex Pinnacle aren't too bad, though there are a couple of things you want to look out for. The most important is the Rushing Wind debuff from the Gust soldiers. This can be pretty deadly and needs to be dispelled immediately. The last few packs have a new mob, Cloud Princes. These cast a Turbulence ability that can be pretty deadly. On fortified weeks, you'll want to send some of your cooldowns here. You probably won't need them for the next boss. On Tyran weeks, you can try to save your cooldowns here since you will be pulling the boss immediately after these packs, though abilities like Convoke can be used during the first Turbulence and they should be up by the time you're pulling the boss. The first boss fight should be a breeze as long as no one gets hit by the lightning floating around the room and as long as your group interrupts most of the lightning bolts. In this first phase, most of your healing will be spot healing, so use your Regrowth and Swift Mend on anyone that gets hit by either of those two abilities, but overall this phase should be pretty simple. In phase 2, you will want to dodge the tornadoes as they come into the center of the room and get ready for some AoE healing by pre-harding the group. While not too bad, this can be the most healing intensive part of the fight, and this is definitely where you want to send all of your cooldowns. Luckily, once you dodge the tornadoes as they come in, there's nothing else to dodge, so this is a prime time to send your Tranquility. The trash before the second boss can be a bit of a pain and can be deadly even on tyrannical weeks. The first pack has a lot of turbulent squalls that cast Cloudburst. While this damage can be mitigated by purging the shields they cast on themselves, we can't help with that. However, Incapacitating Roar is a great way to interrupt multiple casts of this at the same time. Try to help interrupting these, but also be ready for any AoE healing that will be needed if any casts get off. The deadliest mobs in this wing are definitely the Young Storm Dragons. Their Icy Buffet will put a nasty debuff on everyone in the party. While you can stand in the healing well to help mitigate this, you will also want to send your cooldowns like Convoke and Flourish at these points, especially on fortified weeks. You can also use Tranquility, but be mindful that you might need to stop it early and move if you get targeted by the Chilling Breath Frontal. The second boss can be pretty deadly, especially on tyrannical weeks. The group will be taking constant damage from Biting Cold, however, as long as you stay upwind from the boss, you will get a nice haste bonus and should be able to heal through this with no problem. Things get a little bit tricky when the wind changes directions. Not only will you lose this tasty haste buff until you reposition, but the group will also start taking increased damage until they get back in the right position. These transitions are where you're going to want to send your Convoke and Flourish if you start to fall behind on healing. The only other mechanic is Downburst, which your group can avoid by jumping over with the tornadoes that spawn around the room. If anyone fails to this, you can try to save them with Iron Bark and Swiftmen, though this can be hard to do on higher key levels. The trash mobs in the last wing aren't nearly as bad as the trash in the second wing. There's a bit of AoE damage that will come from the Executors of the Caliph's Crashing Stone ability. Other than that, as long as your party avoids Lightning Lash using the Grounding Field, you should be all set to handle these packs. The Skyfall Stars can also be deceptively dangerous. On fortified weeks, the AoE damage can be a little bit deadly, so don't be afraid to send your cooldowns here like Convoke, which will help with both healing and damaging the stars. The final boss, Assad, Caliph of the Zephyrs, is another tricky one. The biggest mechanic is his static cling. All you have to do is jump to avoid this. If you get rooted by it, don't dispel yourself. Use Shapeshift to break yourself out and save your dispel for anyone else in the group that failed to jump. The most dangerous parts of the fight will be when he summons a Skyfall Nova ad. Your group should kill this pretty fast, but if it takes a little while to die, send your cooldowns here to help with the healing. Finally, Keep an eye out for whoever it gets targeted with Chain Lightning. On its own, this ability is pretty easy to heal through. However, if someone gets targeted by this while the ad is still up, they could end up going down. If you see this overlap, this is a good time to use your Iron Bark on whoever is targeted by Chain Lightning. Your tank shouldn't really be taking too much damage throughout this fight, so there really isn't a better target for your Iron Bark. And that's about it for Vortex Pinnacle. This isn't the most complete guide, but it definitely shows you some tips and tricks to get through the dungeon's trickiest parts. Like the video if you found it helpful, and be sure to subscribe for some more casual healing content, and until next time, happy healing!